Welcome to the Women in Esports Student Champs Valorant Cup Grand Finals. I am Waxin, joined by Daniel, bringing you all of the best of three action of this grand final. And I'm so excited to be here today, Daniel. How do you feel before this grand final?
I'm actually really excited as well, Waxon. You know, we've had the players come through this whole cup, the whole winter season, just to get to this point. So one of the teams have had to go through the lower bracket. They've won the lower bracket, and now they're at the grand final, ready to win and get their spot for LAN.
Yeah, this is also a rematch of a match we had the pleasure of seeing in Game 3, Daniel. And that one, well, it was only a best of one. But now the dynamic is completely changed that both of these teams have had more weeks to practice, play against other top level teams, and get to this point.
Yeah, so like you said, in week 3 we saw this matchup. They played on us, and St. David's ended up taking the win 30-9. But then Belfast seemed to use that and momentum to get under them. Yeah, they lost a week after the one after that, so they won 2-1 against Alva, but then they lost to Hopwood, which put them into that lower bracket run, Waxon. But since then, they just went on and won each of those BO3s 2-0 in such a dominant fashion to get back to this point and take their vengeance against St. David's, though.
Yeah, and I'm looking at obviously the journey that the team has had to take to get to this point. They've played some, like you mentioned, very strong opponents, which is always a good sign that the team has had the opportunity of practicing and getting to a much better point into coming back and showing their opponents, you know what? You beat us once, shame on us. You're not going to do it twice.
Yeah, but from the other side of St. David's, Waxon, this team has had such prominent showing throughout the whole of the season so far. You know, they won that 13-9, and then they've just gone on and again in similar fashion. Yeah, they didn't have nearly as long of a run, but they've been winning 2-0, 2-0, 2-0 every single time, even knocking down the opponent of Hopwood Hawks to that lower final, where Belfast then took vengeance on them to get to this point. You know, Hopwood knocked Belfast down, and then Belfast, after getting that present from their opponent today of the Valkyries, just eliminated them from the tournament.
Yeah, it's who beats who. It's everybody is gonna have to beat some. You know what, Daniel? Because I do like this whole A beats B, B beats C, and C beats A, but if you want to be crowned the champion, you still have to be able to beat anybody at the random moment. And that's what we're going to have to see today. And it's going to be a best of 3. And let's take a quick look at the veto that the teams have prepared for today.
Yeah, so this veto just happened shortly before we went live, Waxon, and they've banned Sunset, to be expected, but Ascent as well. A map that we saw them play back in week 3 is immediately gone. We're starting on Haven, having those 3 sites, something that we're probably going to be talking about a lot, with St. David's starting on the defense. So Belfast, they're going to have potentially a really good half coming through, but then just quickly speeding through the rest. We have split for map 2, and then if we do end up going to all 3 maps, Waxon, it will be a bind for the deciding map, and I know how much you love bind.
I would love to get there, Daniel, but let's get some predictions in from both of us after we see the vetoes. I love bind, so I'm going to go for a 1-1, and we're going to get to the decider. It's a grand finals. Hopefully the best 2 teams have come prepared for today to take us all the way. Hell, maybe we even get the chance of seeing an overtime. What is your prediction going to be?
I definitely would hope for it to go to map 3, Waxon, just so we can get that long series. Every single best of 3 we've had so far this split has been 2-0. So we haven't, on broadcast at least, been able to see much of the depth in map pool. But in terms of this series, I can't confidently say it will. I definitely think it will be a close map on at least one of them, potentially in overtime. But if I were to have to predict, which I do, I'd probably say like 2-0 St. David's.
Well, we are now ready to get underway with map number 1, and it's gonna be Haven, one of the oldest maps in the pool. Daniel, and we are on the way. We see your dad already hovering the stage, something that I believe we've seen them play before. Obviously, we are familiar with both of these teams. Like we mentioned, they have been on stream. Key, Mochi, Labyrinth, Truth, Levy, and then on the other side, we've got your dad, Zeno, Opium, Leven. I'm gonna say this right. Lurker.
Yeah, finally managed to get it. Only the last week of the competition, Waxon.
It's better later than never. I think this is actually what motivated their team to make it thus far, so they can finally hear me pronounce Luther. Not Luther, no! Jinx
Ah!
it!
But yeah, in terms of comps, we're seeing I'm pretty sure a change up here from the attackers of St. David's. We've seen before how much they like to run that double duelist. I don't think, well, judged on what they're hovering just now, actually, it seems to be they don't want to go for that on Haven purely because of how hard the map can be to defend, and so they don't want to necessarily go proactive on it. Instead, they're just choosing for those double sentinel comp with the Sage, potentially that Cypher, hold down the sites when they get on the defense, but also have such ability to just stop flanks entirely. You have those trips, and then if the trips fail, you just have the Sage wall. You have that barrier orb, place it down. Hey, no one can flank unless they break our wall, which is like 400 health or whatever per chunk.
Yeah. Yep. Sage being picked by your dad again, a staple hero, and that's what we want to see in the grand final. You want to have comfort picks. You don't want to have players, not feel comfortable with what they're playing. I would have probably much rather chose something different. Obviously, Lurker, I would have opted for a Raze instead of the Jet, but we've seen them play. Instead of a Raze instead of a Reyna, but we've seen them play this Reyna time and time again and getting tons of kills. So that's what they're gonna be going for right now. I gotta ask you, Daniel, though, is Key a player we are familiar with on the side of the Valkyries, or is this a new name I'm spotting right now?
I think we have seen Key before. Key definitely, yeah, no, we definitely have.
Have we? Okay, I might just be wrong. I recognize all the other 9 names, but for some reason, Key doesn't stand out to me as a name. But we'll see the Omen player, what they can do, as they will be starting on the B side, whereas the attacker already 5 towards A lobby. This seems to be like a quite fast A lobby take. The Trailblazer. Oh, and Lurker! Not wasting any time to lurk around the map. Just gonna go in for the first blood. And Levy on the opposite right now will get taken out. Flash through the smoke. Not gonna spot anyone. Mochi with his frenzy in front gets the first kill. Reload. Dash for another 2 seconds available. Not gonna be able to use it as Opium gets 2. Live with 1. And Zeno puts an end to the first pistol rounds of this grand finals.
Yeah, clean pistol round. You had that stack of 5 just running it down A. They took all of sight within the first few seconds, Waxon, of them just being out. Yeah, there were a few kills from the side of St. David's, but it wasn't enough to halt that push to stop that spike. And then because you were retaking all from that same angle of CT, you just got ran over, and there was not much you could do. Haven is a map where if you're retaking, especially on the sites, you want to be retaking from more than one angle. If you're retaking from just one, it's easy because you get funneled, and then util gets used, or just crosshair placement is good, and then bam, you're dead. But immediately though, coming into round 2, there's just a rush again down A, but the site got left entirely open, and the players are just potentially going to flood through here from the side of St. David's.
Lurker playing a bit of an unconventional angle. I mean, something very conventional to play, but not when you're running versus shorties, as the Sky Flash is going to come through the smoke, the crossfire, and yeah, that's why you get punished on the Reyna. You're trying to play a close angle versus small guns, and that's going to be a double classic kill. Your dad finally with the first kill. We'll try to get more of a Zeno. Will manage to get one. Opium with a wallbang from short, and is again player advantage for Belfast.
Yeah, it's just slowing the pace down here, Waxon. As much as they don't have the numbers advantage, they do have a few pickups of guns, but not much they can do, though, as Zeno's just sat in that cheeky corner over towards CT and gets the final 2 kills. This is what we expect when it comes to the first 2 rounds. If you win the pistol, you buy up, you force, and then you're more often than not, you should win that second round. So yeah, you have 2 rounds on the board, but now you're going against that stronger weaponry of those rifles, and you have one rifle of Lurko just buying it up, since I'm pretty sure they died last round. So yeah, you have the firepower with your duelist having that rifle, but compared to what everyone else has, those Spectres can't do much at range when you're taking a one-on-one against a rifle.
I gotta commend Zeno's repositioning early on, taking the place that Reyna had. A Lurker, maybe Slightly not the most ideal position you want to have versus pistols, but allows Zeno to reposition there and get a nice angle. As Liv is gonna just take a dry pick down long and get the first kill onto Liv, overheal back in place, and this Reyna's 150. Okay, spots the two opponents, bouncing around and getting outside of the C long cubby.
Yeah, and as much as Livy saw 3 players when they swung there, Waxon, they didn't overcommit. They commed it, and a few rotates came through, but by the Mochi practiced as anything, staying on that B side and fears that there could be a luck play like this. Xeno with the second as well, and Mochi's already here though, gets the first. Unfortunately, can't do much against the Spectre of your dad in such close proximity. Xeno still in mid though, manages to get 2 there, Waxon, and forces people to look at them, which stalls enough to get the spike down and the wall up. Now here, both players repositioning under How. Getting this tight hold here now, Waxon. Gonna be hard for them to break.
Are you gonna clear one? Are you gonna clear both? And yes, this guy just turns around, gets one, but your dad with a wallback headshot, and Levy gets taken out. And Belfast met with the first bonus round victory of this grand finals. And Daniel, I thought for a split second that Zeno got slightly too greedy in B, wanting to not disengage and go for one of those rifles, getting punished. But in the end, buying enough time for both Lurker and your dad to reposition under A Haven and just hold a great angle to not allow the retake of the site. So far, so good. Great play coming in from the Belfast man.
Yeah, like being able to have those communications, knowing that you're now in an even 2 versus 2, and that you've picked up rifles because there were players on site with them. Just being able to hold an angle that you wouldn't necessarily expect 2 people to be in. Yeah, you'd probably expect 1 when retaking, especially from CT, but having 2 there, you don't really ever think that both players could be playing that together. And here's the bookie just down short. Unfortunately gets caught by the Trailblazer. Not much can happen from that, as Mochi will be the first to fall. And now the rest of the players are flooding out onto the A side. Out comes all of the util. Return Paranoia. Truth with a kill onto Liv. Swings out again. Gets another onto your dad and a bit of damage onto another. Not much they can do in this position. Down to Labyrinth. Gets the first. Gets the second. That will be 3 on the round. And the first round pickup for St. David's. The clutch play, 8 HP from Labyrinth.
Absolutely needed for the Valkyries, flying through Labyrinth with a nice triple kill with the Sheriff. And this round was something that Valkyries would have hoped for, but it doesn't. You don't need to hope for it. You don't need to pray for it when you got players like Labyrinth on your team. And now the economy is still, well, definitely turning back in their favor, looking at it already having more credits than the attackers. So if the Belfast Met are not going to get the spike down and losing this round, is going to be looking pretty dire for their attack side.
Yeah, just throwing that blinding light out into mid, noting at least 1 player there, which you kind of already knew from the Lear. So there wasn't really any full need to throw that flash other than maybe a push out threat. But this is a great fake, I think, right? You're throwing all of the Sky Util over in toward Garage to bait out, rotates, potentially keep people on that side of the map, right when you have players lurking up through A. But this was to be expected. Mochi gets 1 and another with help, and the spike's down on A side, and there's not much that can be done right now. There's a player down short and the other over toward long. Opium managing to get the kill, with Mochi having a bit of poor positioning there, but Lurker, last player from the side here, over towards short. Opium with 1, Lurker with another. Notes the player over towards CT. Livy gets the first headshot, swings out, can't quite get the last. 4-1. Lurker pulling that round back from what arguably shouldn't have been nearly as close as what it was, Wax.
Well, I don't even think they should have been going in the favor of the Belfast Met on the back of what was a great start to the round for the defenders. So I think it wasn't even just closer than it should have been. It just went to the completely wrong side because the Valkyries, despite having the spike drop down short, couldn't quite manage to hold on to it.
Yeah, but when you have Lurker on your team, there's not much that can stop them, right? You know, just being able to swing those angles that, like you say, you shouldn't be winning those fights. And yet, Lurker still had all of that value, still got those fights, taking one again in mid. Mochi with the knives, and that's just a clean one tap. There's not much you can do against that, and off that kill, all the players have already rotated and gone over toward this B site. The Seekers get popped as well, and they know that the push is coming in over toward this A site once again. Paranoia gets thrown, and the site's fully enveloped, but it's going to come down to Key here. Gets one, can't quite get another as Liv immediately gets that trade, and the spike will be going down.
This round doesn't mean that much, as I think there's only a shotgun and 4 sheriffs for the side of the defenders, but if you can get some more economical damage on the attackers, and maybe farm a few more ultimate orbs for your Sky and your Killjoy, that would be very good going into the next portion of this first half, as Lurker gets the kill onto Livy in Heaven. Your dad, Jiggle peeking, Truth pushing though, gonna try to clear the... Okay, gets 1 kill in Graffiti, but your dad with a double kill for his Sage. Yeah, their Sage is now gonna have the res going into the 7th round of this half.
Yeah, this is the round that if you're St. David's, you really need to be focusing on winning, you know? You've just had your eco, so now you're coming back, your economy should be relatively fine. I see Truth being the only player that has not a rifle, opting for that Marshall, because maybe there was a little bit of miscommunication with the economy. But Waxen, if you win this round, then you can potentially start to build the momentum, you know, because Belfast, they might be forced onto a lesser buy, onto a bit of a broken buy, and from there you should be able to win 1 round and then hopefully get that confidence back, win the one after, because it's already 5 rounds for the attack, and yeah, most of the time, especially on Haven with this 3 sites, you expect a half to go in favor of the attack. You don't expect it to be nearly as favorable as what could be a potential 8-4 or even like a 10-2, for example, you know?
Slow default round coming in from the Belfast mat. Liv going down short, taking their time. Mochi though, as they're about to rotate, the smoke is gonna come in and Liv is gonna punish Livy. Mochi will trade it instantly. Liv maybe with a bit of a lag doesn't manage to break the turret, and Mochi will get a second as Labyrinth gets 1 on long versus OPM. Who does manage to trade from the Omen. 2 versus 3. We do have Omen ultimates for both sides. The spike can be retrieved with the usage of that Omen ult. 40 seconds for the attackers.
Yeah, they're just rotating out here, Wax, and Belfast Met, like you say, they have that Omen ult. They're probably going to run over all the way over to C, but it's going to come down to the timing of St. David's Omen, of Key, you know? If they can potentially get some kind of value here, spot out Belfast with their knives in hands, which they unfortunately can't quite do, but now the jig's up. They know that they're going over toward this C site. With 10 seconds left on the clock, the spike gets picked up. Truth only play over toward Garage. The jet is going to come through of Mochi all the way down through CT here. It's going to come down to this fight. Truth, noting where both players are, gets the first, manages to not quite get the second. Xeno in the 1 versus 1.
Heard Mochi rotate from Garden. Full flash. Mochi, only updraft in hand, but there's 1 more flash for Xeno. The flash is going to come in pitch perfect, buying more time for the Sky. Mochi, the team is on your back. The Valkyries. I think the Sky just might have crossed to the defender's base. No, it's up in the logs, and Mochi doesn't check. Zeno gets the third, the headshot, and it's 6-1 for the Belfast Met. What a nice play coming in from Zeno, but I have to say, it all started with that rotation, using the from the shadows all the way from C to pick up the spike in A, something that we see so often happen these days. One of these things that when players started understanding that you can do this with the Omen, you thought it's just a broken thing and it's going to be patched in a day or 2. But no, this is the current Omen meta.
Yeah, you see this more often than not, especially in tournaments like these, Waxen, where you know you can. A strategy is just, hey, we have the Omen ult, let's send a player in to int, get as much damage as they possibly can, drop the spike there, and then all of that should draw a whole bunch of rotates because there's a whole bunch of noise and the spike's down. A little bit of an overpeak from Key though, noting that Lurker's just holding that mid position, and a potential regroup's coming in over toward Grass. This mid round pivot here. It's going to come down to this timing with Livy. Xeno has that Trailblazer in hand. And Livy has the Leer. Out it goes. Not quite clearing that close left. Gets stuns up. Pulls the Leer out again. And Xeno just getting the perfect timing.
be a meanwhile getting a kill. Silong, Truth will do some work with the Sheriff. We've seen them do some beautiful things before. 1v1 versus Cypher, not managed to win the clutch as Labyrinth will get the Lurker kill onto Zeno. 1 versus 3, 18 HP for the Killjoy. Can they pick up a rifle? I think they can, but look at the Omen. Holding just under garage window. Labyrinth has to check every single corner, does not have enough time for this. They might even consider a save here, but no. Labyrinth wants to take the duel. Did save. Nice headshot wallbang onto the Reyna. Can they get another one? No. Liv will not let Lurker die. Will full swing and get the final kill onto Labyrinth. Daniel, I think this is the moment where if you're the St. David's Valkyries, I would love to see a timeout from you. You had an eco. Now you're going to be able to purchase all you need utility rifles in the next round. So why not just take a break? Let's talk about what's not working. What do we need to change if we want to rack up at least, well, I think they need 4 more rounds on this defender side if they want to have a chance when they swap sides.
Definitely, like you say, having a potential timeout here would be exactly what you want, because it stops any form of momentum. It allows you to get that communication going again, and unfortunately that's not what's happened. But instead they've noted that how much Belfast like to take this A side, so they've put 3 players over on that A. They've moved the Killjoy from that C and repositioned over here instead. A few shots are coming out, but not much can be done. Liv managing to get a bunch of trades back and forth. Labyrinth with 2 waxing over toward that long. The spike is now going to go down, and advantage number in favor of St. David's. Should have noted both players over towards short. Manages to get the first one to Zeno. Can't quite get the second one to Lurker, but there's already a flank here. Mochi now just being a little bit of a distraction, popping that cloudburst to be able to cross over to long. And I think, Waxen, they might just opt for a potential crossfire, but Lurker's going to swing and unfortunately not going to clear the corner in time. Labyrinth with 3. Maybe the adaptation's been made. Maybe putting that Killjoy over toward A is what they need.
I'm gonna be honest with you, Daniel. That was no adaptation. That was just the Belfast That was just the Belfast med getting overconfident, jumping through both smokes in short and long. Okay, first of all, let's say you want Liv to just test the waters, bait your Cypher. Fine. I don't think it's a good choice, but okay, you did it. Liv killed one somehow and then died. But then replicating the same thing, pushing the smoke with 2 players from long without having a pop flash by the sky, that's what punished them. And then obviously Lurker trying to do some work with the Empress, but not going to be able to do so. This is the grand finals. You can't just use the advantage you have early on. Key though will get bit by the Trailblazer, and now the barrier orb and the res coming in. The Cypher will be back into play, but the Key will get the kill across on the sky. So like I said, no more. Look at Levi!
Spike down mid.
Not Lurker with a nice wallbang. They're still breaking the barrier worm. We have the Seekers coming through. Flash. Key with a third. Can Key get more with this bulldog? Yes, they can. No, it's Truth that gets one. And now it's Lurker 1 versus 3. Fighting 2 opponents in garage, but 1 coming all the way from B.
Yeah, and they're playing this absolutely smart. You know, you're just throwing that player over toward B while regrouping over toward Garage. You're not going to be pre-aiming over toward B in that situation, Waxen, are you? You know, and then the swing just comes through and there's the kill. Potential that for stopping the bleed, but there's still 2 rounds left of this half, Waxen. You know, if you are St. David's, you definitely need every round you can get here. You're hoping for that 7-5 half, because otherwise it's going to be quite difficult. Yeah, you have that double duelist, and so you can explode really easily on this map and onto the sites to get value. But it comes down to how they've played. We've seen them be able to play this comp before and get so many of their rounds on the attacking half. But it's just going to come down to whether or not Belfast have realised that's the game plan and can punish it when they swap over onto their defense.
The economy does not look too hot for the Belfast Met, who opt to go for a half purchase. Only a Vandal on Leader's right now. But now the flash coming in from Ivy. Lines them up, gets 2. Killjoy still hat. Well, Labyrinth gets the third, and it's a 2 versus 5. Like I said, not a big purchase coming in from the Belfast Met side. A Spectre, I believe, and maybe a Stinger for the Sky. We'll just... Oh, it's a Guardian. Okay. Just getting a couple headshots with the Guardian could prove to be deadly, but now look at Key holding his angle perfectly. Gets the first headshot onto Zeno, and it's your dad in a world of hurt. But now they have all the credits they need, Daniel, going into the final round of the half. Would you like to see the Belfast Met change something up? Maybe try to surprise the Valkyries with an operator or something as Levy gets the final one of the round?
Potentially, yeah. Like the attack operator, it's something that isn't necessarily used nearly as much compared to the defense op, but it is that weapon is still very strong and very powerful. You know, just that one body shot is a kill unless like it's a wallbang. You know, like that's very powerful. It punishes over peaks and it forces respect, but something that I was also thinking about Waxen is they could just do what it appears that they're going to be doing now. They've this whole half have been rushing A or playing mid and then rushing A, but now they've changed it up. They have 4 players over toward Grasp, but potentially going for a C split. The Seekers in hand, they are going to get popped. Notes that the 1 player's in garage, spam through the wall, and the site's just going to get rushed through. Only 1 player here being key, and that's already falling from Liv on long.
You have the lockdown though. The lockdown and the Empress gets invested. They will get spotted by the Neuro Theft. Livy has to clear garage. Nobody here just yet. All 5 players are playing in C and long, and the lockdown comes in. 12 seconds to make a choice. What are we gonna do? And spray through the smoke, deal some damage to Lurker, who is down to below 100 HP. Zena will suffer from the safe faith and will get detained on purpose. Meanwhile, Truth with the operator. We asked if we want to see an op for the attackers. Now there's one for the defenders. Someone has to watch the back, but nobody's holding Truth! Opium just swings and gets the kill onto the diffuser, and now it's Levy in a 1v3. Can they make it happen? Shouldn't be able to be possible. Levy tries to overkill, the flash coming in, will spot the second opponent, but the spike is lower and lower, and it will just go off, and Levy cannot make it work for the Valkyries. Daniel, when you've got the operator in a retake versus C long players, why is the op player the one defusing the spike?
I think it was mainly they were potentially just having issues with their comms wax, and maybe they thought that they didn't have much time left to defuse, so it's better for the closest person to stick because then they get the defuse instantly. But when your Omen is the player that plays C and is the first player on your team that dies, it's a big issue because then you can't just smoke long and stick a defuse. You have to, like you say, have players watching the defuse, helping the diffuser. Because all of the players realized that and just went long. They realized that there was no smokes, and so they could just sit long and just look at the spike when it was starting to be defusing.
Pistol rounds for the Valkyries. This is the make or break. They needed 5 if they wanted to make any missteps in this second half, but they didn't get 5. Now, we'll spot the tripwire. We'll smoke garage window, and Key will break the tripwire, and attack has started. The Omen is already in, and Liv gets caught off guard. You don't expect an Omen to be so close so soon, but your dad gets the kill onto Livy, who was lurking down B. Maybe not patient enough on the Reyna. 4 versus 4 retake. Do we have any nanoswarms? No. None for the attacker's killjoy, but look at the second lurk. It's Mochi. You expected one, you expect more spots. One gets the first headshot, gets more damage onto the Omen and the Sage. You just need to stay alive. They've already been distracted, but look at the Lurker gets punished. And now your dad gets caught sandwiched in between the Sky and the Jet, gets killed. And what a nice execute from the San David's Valkyries.
Yeah, we've seen them do something similar before, Wax, and you know that they have the immediate presence of a potential threat of a lurk with one of their duelists right at the start of the round, just while everyone else is somewhere else on the map, and then right when the spike is down and time is ticking and the retake needs to come in for the defuse, they just send their other duelist either in a similar position or the exact same avenue where their first duelist had died, because you're not expecting a second. You know, you've already killed one. Why would you send another player and make your team even weaker for holding the spike, for stopping that defuse? Speaking of, though, the spike's over towards C, but there's a 3-man push in through B, and that's just going to be Liv falling to Livy with that Spectre. Headshot, body shot, immediately dropping to the ground. And it's all 4 players, Maxon, from the defense played A, and they're all lurking out into T-spawn.
The better long-range guns. Okay, let's just watch if we can get a 4K from the Omen. The Lear is going to come in time. He gets one with the Ghost, but will get traded by your dad and Lurker. Still 3 players down long. We'll try to pick up the Spectre. The Nano Swarm slows them down. It doesn't get popped, so we'll manage to pick up the Spectre. But it's not Spectre. It's only a Ghost for the Omen, and Truth just farms them up with the Marshall. Mochi on the Flurk yet again. Okay, spray and pray. Spray they do, and win they are right now. I was just to say, Daniel. So other than the exceptional call. No. Let me break this down differently. For those of you at home, normally when you got the gun advantage, so your guns shoot better at long distance, which is what most guns do when you're playing versus pistols. You do not want to play close quarters. That's why you don't go play a short, you don't play a long. What they did instead, because Haven has a lot of close quarters, including B and Garage, why go to Garage and split C when we can go B, slightly longer range, and split C with a C long push and a B wraparound? Yes, there was only a Cypher, but I love the tactic, and I would like to see them replicated later on when they're going to have guns.
Yeah, speaking of, there's just a rundown B again.
Okay.
Livy throwing that Lear and getting the first kill onto your dad. Sight now potentially in control of the St. David's Valks. Not much that can happen. A little bit of an overpeak from Mochi. Smoke, dark cover will come down. And players are pushing out, but Lurker's already here, Waxon. Lurker is already into T-spawn. No one's watching it. Lurker gets the first onto Labyrinth, but immediately traded by Key. And 2 versus 3. Guns and numbers in favor of Belfast push out, and that will be the round to be expected. But now here comes the challenge.
I think you gotta do something about Lurker's ongoing flank. Like, we've had 3 rounds on this half. One of them was pistols, and Lurker was on the lurk, you guessed it, every single round thus far. Obviously, you don't have the benefit of a Cypher, but you do have a Killjoy, and there are some pretty good setups you can have from Labyrinth to hold back this Reyna and just expectant. Labyrinth was still alive when the lurk came through. They were the one to be first killed by Lurker.
Yeah, I suppose I think in particular of that round of action, they didn't necessarily care. I think maybe they're trying to make Lurker overconfident to go for these plays every single round, because then they can just be punished. But immediately pushing out into Garage, out through Garage, Mochi getting the first onto Lit, and the Omen of Opium wrapped. Back, and all 3 players again, Waxon. T-spawn. It's just where the A defenders love to go. They love to wrap through T-spawn. Key getting the first, but not much can happen as Lurker gets that trade.
Opium will get the kill though. It's down to a 3 versus 3. Verena on the flank. Double swing from Mochi and the Sky. Very nice play right now. And now Zero gets caught off guard. Mochi with a third swing and gets the final one onto Opium. The St. David's Valkyries have awakened, and they are here to win some Valorant rounds on the attack side of Haven. And I love, as you were saying, what they should be doing. That's what they did, Daniel. It doesn't matter if you're going to be flanking us. Yeah, do it with 1, do it with 2, do it with 3 players. That means the other part of the map is going to be completely open, and we'll take advantage of that. And that's what they did. Haven is not a map where you can commit so many players to just flanking, because then you're going to have less opponents on the other side of the map. Very nicely done coming from the Valkyries.
Yeah, it's like I think it's the 3rd longest wrap out of all the maps in the game, you know? That A to C wrap, especially through either spawn, you know? It's such a long wrap, so like you say, if you are doing it, you have to do it almost instantly as soon as the round starts, because otherwise you're just going to get caught out and the rest of the site's going to be weak. But the blinding light gets thrown onto long, and no kills come from it, even though 3 players are blind. Paranoia thrown, Xeno peeking a little bit too premature, and that's going to cost them their life, leading it all now to the 3 players on site, but no one's clearing that short angle. Lurker manages to get 1, but that's not much you can do when you have inferior weaponry. And Waxon, that's something like 5 rounds in a row now, isn't it?
It's not actually. No, it's only 2 rounds because I obviously lost a bonus round. They were playing versus the rifles, and that was what we were expecting. But if you don't count the rounds where they were at a gun disadvantage, they've been doing very well. Since they've moved onto the attack side, they are doing tremendous work. And it shouldn't come to our surprise, Daniel, because they are the ones running the double duelist comp.
Yeah, this composition definitely favors more on that attack side than the defense, and because Belfast have noticed what's been happening over these last few rounds. They're just leaving C open, Wax, and they know how much St. David's like to play into this mid position in particular, and so they're stacking A, and they're stacking Garage with having a third player over toward that A-Link. Seeker's gonna get used, gonna get that information that there's at least 2 players relatively close. The first one not quite hitting Liv in Garage, but the second one definitely will, and that's going to be Livy catching your dad off guard on a little bit of a slow rotate. Xeno here unfortunately can't do much more other than your dad and just falling as well.
Whoa.
These are this is just St. David's winning their duels, but Lurker has something to say about that. Getting 2 in CT has all of the confidence now, Waxon, but it's in a 1 versus 3. If they want to be able to win this round, they have to get an ace and still have time to defuse. Gonna get the third, get the overheal as well. Positions now in a slight crossfire. Swing off the alarm bot from Labyrinth, and that's not much you can do. Falling, but that was a great effort from Lurker.
Great effort from Lurker. Great initial takeover of the site from the Valkyries, but I gotta question them. Yes, you're feeling more confident, you're starting to rack up the rounds. Obviously, we're looking at an equal scoreline, but why give Lurker even the hope? Taking duels 1 by 1 is never a good sign and never something you want to do versus Arena of all agents.
Yeah, and just looking at the auto economy for this round, Waxon, there's going to be potential for a load to get popped. I'm pretty sure both teams have 3, and Belfast were like 1 orb away from another. So there's potential for a load of ords. But looking at Belfast's ults, they're all quite defensive ults. You know, you have that Neural Theft that can only be used on a dead body. You have that Sage Rise that can only be used on a dead body. And then you have the Omen ult, which you tend to only see on the defense used for rotates. But speaking of, all of the players are just stacked in this T-spawn again. They know that they flank a lot, and so they're just grouping up. But Livy's already through, and it's down to Opium. You know, not much to talk about in this round due to the weaker weapons, the lesser buy. And St. David's now have the advantage, Waxon, for the first time this game.
They have been completely unleashed, Daniel, since swapping sides. It's phenomenal what they're doing, and we talked about taking tactical timeouts earlier in the first half, and I think this is the time where the Belfast Met have to consider one themselves. They ecoed, and if they lose this gun round, they're not gonna, well, they will be able to afford a purchase in the next one as well, but I really think they should consider taking a breath. Maybe they don't want to. They do have the ultimates, like you mentioned, but let's see, are they going to be able to utilize that? As Zeno throws a flash, not going to spot anyone, and now Lurker just going to play a very one-and-done angle, but this is Arena. Will have to disengage, doesn't want to risk it. Trailblazer just misses the target, and now Levy wants to take the duel. It's Reyna v Reyna, but the Trailblazer from the defenders coming in, and now they slow down.
Yeah, they've put all of this aggression onto A and just left Livy in this corner to lurk. Position not noted, only manages to get 1 though. And now the rotates are already through. All of Belfast are, St. David's even are all in mid-Waxon. Flash into Garage, notes nothing, spots the trip, and out comes the paranoia off that set play. But Truth is getting a bit aggressive. Truth knows that they have a timing here, throwing that blinding light and just backing off, potentially threatening a potential push-up. So now they have to invest some kind of individual to clear that. And there's already a stack over towards CT.
Takeover starts. Opium gets 1. Mochi with a second trade, but no, it will be Opium. And now Rez coming in from the Sage. Player advantage. They can hold the body, but no, Labyrinth gets 1, gets 2, gets 3, and now Opium was alone in a 1v2. It doesn't matter. Key from Long assisting Labyrinth in sight. And the Valkyries are up, 2 rounds in the first map of the Grand Finals. And Daniel, correct me if I'm wrong, but this isn't even their map pick, is it? No, this is their map pick, okay.
Yeah, this is their map pick. But Belfast used 2 ultimates that round, Waxon. They committed the ever-essential Sage Res that didn't end up getting much value at all, if any, and they use the Seekers just to get info on rotates, because what St. David's have been really good at doing is, yeah, they conditioned in the first few rounds with those immediate rushes into mid, into B, getting those quick, rapid plays, and then now, as we saw that round, they emulated a similar thing, but it was all just to set up the lurk of Arena, and then they all left.
And now there's no lurk, Daniel. Now the complete A-side takeover has happened, and The Belfast Meta do not have the luxury of a lockdown to invest for the retake, whereas the Valkyries have it if they want to use it to slow down this retake. But now, Mollies get spotted, Nanostorms get broken, Liv swings in, cannot get the first kill, but Zeno can trade it with a double on their side. Lurker, Mochi, everybody, left, right, and center. It's a 2 versus 1. The Belfast Meta have the player advantage for the first time in a long, long while. Guiding Light come in, gonna spot Key in the right side of the corner. Can they realize where this Omen is placed? He's gonna spot one and get a window duel. It's a fake. Lurker just swings and gets the kill. Finally, the Belfast Met win a single gun round on the second half.
Yeah, they did it from the heroics of 2 players, Waxen, after a whole bunch of value came from the guns of St. David's. But as much as, yeah, you win that round, you had 1 player alive, and your economy has been pretty poor up until this point. And so you have a rifle that you've brought through, and Zeno can buy up another with light shields. But the rest of the team are forced onto bulldogs and sheriffs. You know, as much as, or specters even, like they're forcing. But it's not a good force. It's not a confident force.
There.
Livido. Headshot, wallbang, your dad's first blooded out of the server. No barrier orb, no slow orb, no sage, no father figure for the side of the Belfast Met in this round. As we have Zeno popping the Trailblazer, gonna clear the corner. Very scared of someone playing up close and personal in the smoke, and that's correct because the Reyna's gonna swing. And Livy with the Empress showing us who wears the crown. Lurker on the other side, gotta come in and get one on their own, but no, it's Liv actually with a double, but Liv is still alive with the third, and it's Lurker 1v3, Reyna v Reyna. But no, Labyrinth's gonna swing. Not gonna win the duel. The Reyna can get overhealed, maybe back to 120 HP if they're lucky. It will only be 102. Time is ticking though. Can Lurker isolate the duels? Knows the positioning of Mochi. It's a crossfire. They have to overcommit if they want to win a duel. Gets one. No, they don't. Mochi with a nice wide swing on the jet, and it's gonna be double map point for the St. David's Valkyries.
Yeah, and you touched on something there that's very influential, Waxen. From the side of the Belfast Met, if you're having to use a Trailblazer to clear such a close angle out of fear that someone could push you, or have pushed, you know, like it shows how much St. David's conditioning has got into Belfast, and how much they have to use util that you probably wouldn't really expect to be used, just so they can have confidence that nothing will happen, and yet something did immediately after it got used. So then it's you're kind of wasting a piece of util just for yourself because it was just that Skyon aidling.
I love that paranoia combined with Lurker that has given them early advantage. Lurker, I know you're a Reyna, and the Reyna's the one to taste the blood, especially after getting the first blood, but I think you should just disengage and play the player advantage. I don't know. No more assists. The Sage has given up your window. The Omen rotated back to Elevator and C long, but Lurker does not want to give them an inch in this garage. Guiding Light will come in and will push Reyna back just slightly. Lurker still in an aggressive angle, but meanwhile, the barrier will left. Tag, Sky, Operator, Zeno. Wallbang, wallbang kill! Beautiful, but Levy swings. No, only 1 kill before it gets traded, and it's still 2-player advantage for the defenders. Very good methodical round. The Belfast Met do not want to give the attackers a single inch. They've just given up A though. Can Labyrinth make it work? Still has the lockdown.
Yeah, but Waxen, look at this already. Like, they've popped the Omen ult to get over to Seaside. All in the meantime, Lurker's on the flank. They thought this was an A hit. And so when the spike's down, Labyrinth gets 1. Position now notes another over towards CT. Gets a second. Doesn't note Lurker over toward the flank. But with the spike down and the push out over towards CT from Key, he's gonna catch your dad out, potentially. Heard the footsteps, gets the kill. It's gonna be Lurker now in the 1 versus 2. What was Waxen a 4 versus 2 in favor of the defenders, it's now a 2 versus 1 in favor of the attackers, all off the use of 1 Omen ultimate. And Lurker has everything cut out for them. Well. They have to get a 1 versus 2 here. Key slightly low, swinging out the smoke, and there's not much that they can do. 13-10 win, map 1 for St. David's Valkyries.
Unbelievable comeback to start off this grand finals from the Valkyries, Daniel, and what a way to finish it in. First half, this happened to them. The Omen TP across the map, just picking up the spike, using the From the Shadows to great success, and now, you know, what's payback time, baby? Just show up from the shadows, fake A, TPC, and that was it. That was kind of the end of the round because Labyrinth did so much work on that isolated position under A Haven, making them buy the fake. Unbelievable. I think if I'm not even gonna go for an MVP, Daniel. I'm just gonna say pick Omen, win games.
Yeah, hey, as much as that was the first game, Waxon, this is still a best of 3. So we have a map coming up, I believe, just after a short break.
Welcome back to the Women in Esports Valorant Cup Grand Finals between the St. David's Valkyries and the Belfast Met. I'm Waxen, joined by Daniel, talking about map 1 and what we can expect from map number 2. But yes, Daniel, Haven just took place and the Valkyries played some great Valorant to come back into that map.
Yeah, they ended up, as we saw, winning 13-10. But in terms of like what the scoreboard looked like at the end of that game, Waxen, Lurker managed to end up top fragging the whole lobby, but ended up losing. So it shows that as much as you're getting so many kills and you're getting value, so to speak, you're not. That value isn't converting nearly as effectively as Livy and Labyrinth's value on the Reyna and Killjoy respectively, in terms of converting and winning those rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. But, you know, it is a Reyna, and that's one of the reasons we don't really see Reynas played in Tier 1 Valorant that often. Both teams felt comfortable with the Reyna. Obviously, the two Reynas were on top of the scoreboard with, like you mentioned, Lurker and Livy. But Livy, though, on the other hand, the attacker side, finishing on the attacker side for the Valkyries with 9 first bloods out of 21 kills. That's impactful, and I feel like Livy had more of an impact throughout the map, but I didn't realize it was 9 first bloods for their side.
Yeah, like I definitely think we saw a different Livy on the attack than we did on that defense. You know, as much as their comp was definitely built more for the attack, so they forfeited a whole bunch of rounds that they probably shouldn't have because of whatever reasons that they had within their team dynamic. It meant that when it came to the half and they swapped over, you were looking at a player like Livy to be able to get all that value, to be able to convert those rounds. We saw those players of just pushing immediately as soon as the barriers drop, but we also saw those same muted players of throwing a layer and jumping out and holding a position before then saying, hey, my team's going here, I'm just going to run in to make a distraction, draw some rotates, and easy spike plan.
Yeah. Yep. Well, everything you say is completely correct, Daniel, but I wonder mentally, where are the two teams right now? Because the Belfast Met just lost for the first time in a long while, if I'm not wrong. And not only they lost, but they were winning in a pretty convincing fashion, I think. Wasn't it like 10-3 or 9-4 at one point? 9-4, I think, was the scoreline we were looking at. Yes. 9-4 for their side, and then they just didn't manage to pick anything else. They only won a single full purchase gun round on the defender side of Haven, and now, yes, we are moving on to their map pick, but, and it's a big but, Daniel, it's going to be Split, and they will be starting attack side of Split.
Yeah, it's not necessarily the half that you want to be picking, but maybe it's a blessing for them, because in doing so you get the worst side off, and then you're playing your defense however you want it. A map that is so heavily defense favored. We've had the spectrum now. We've had the attacks heavy map, and we're going into the defense heavy. But if St. David's run this same comp or run a similar idea of that double duelist Waxen, I don't think you necessarily want to count your eggs and hope that you get all of your rounds from the defense, because they're going to be hoping the exact opposite, that they get all of their rounds from attack.
Yeah, no, you're completely right, Daniel, and maybe it's gonna be what will happen for them, but I do have to say, Split is such a different map from Haven, right? Despite being, again, one of the oldest maps in the game, it has been changed, but still feels like a completely different dynamic. Valorant pistols are always important, but on Split it feels even more important than on any other map, to be completely honest, only because of traditionally Split is so defender sided, so if you cannot win pistols on the attack side, you're struggling very, very hard to come back from the economy department, to use the ultimates you have to take over the sides. And let's talk about what are we expecting to see from comp wise from these teams. Are we gonna see Lurker stick to the Reyna? Yes or no?
I really don't want to, because Reyna isn't necessarily like the best agent for a team comp, but if you manage to like still get more value than what you did on Haven, then it could definitely be something that like will be considered. I definitely think that we'll see it. Hope at least one stage, purely because especially like at this level, you don't necessarily have all of the time, all of the hours to put into practice to be able to know, hey, we put this util from our comp in mid. We now don't have to look mid until it gets broken or whatever, and so it's just so much easier for these players to throw a wall up or a barrier orb and just leave that, and then hey, a chunk's been broken, we now need to put some attention there.
Yeah, no, that's true. And obviously, Sage is one of the most dominating forces in the mid lane and B heaven on the defender side of the split. It's also quite good to take over, especially the B side on the attack. You can use the wall in multiple creative ways. And I would love to see a Raze. I think Raze is probably still the strongest duelist it still is in Valorant, and split more so ever since the beginning of the game. Closer quarters, pain shells do lots of damage. Showstopper has a smaller area to hit multiple targets in. And I would also like to see a fade. I know something that's not necessarily traditional, but I don't know if I was about to say if we're going to see a sky here. Yeah, initiator of any kind. A breach would be probably the ideal one that I want to see, but we're not going to see a breach by the looks of things.
Yeah, Breach, like you say, he can definitely get a whole bunch of value, but I think in like a similar situation in terms of this level of play, Waxen, unless you're a one-trick Breach or you practice him quite a lot, it's going to be kind of hard to fit him into a comp compared to this guy, purely because of how much more consideration you have to put in place before you use your fault line, before you use your aftershock. You know, it definitely makes it more difficult for a team that practices once, maybe twice a week, for example, compared to a team that practices 4 or more times a week. But just looking at the agents that are being locked, it looks like we are going to be seeing that Reyna again, Wax, and no Raze from either side. It will be the Jet versus the Reyna in terms of the duelist.
But on the contrary, we do have stages on both sides. You know, that's something good. Cypher, again, one of the current agents that following the most recent updates, it feels like it's a must-have on most maps. We didn't see him for both sides last time around, and the Killjoy did such good work that I was so much area of the map with the tripwires, and combining that, like you mentioned on Haven, with the Sage, it's gonna be so hard to get through all of the choke points without getting spotted or having to break into something. So I'm gonna have to wait and see which comp do I prefer. They're identical other than the Reyna for Jet swap. I think personally I love the mobility that Jet brings to the table, but at the same time the Reyna does have extra near sights with the Leers. So I'm maybe going to edge out Belfast Met only because I want us to go to a map 3. But what about you, Daniel?
I much prefer the Jet comp here, purely because Sky synergizes so much more well with Jet than it does with Reyna. But like you say, I'm hoping for a map 3 after seeing what we saw on map 1. The Belfast Met definitely performed better than what I expected, and so we can only hope and pray that we do end up going the distance. But Opium, in a little bit of an off angle, gets spotted by Truth. Not much done other than a kill onto Opium and a whole bunch of damage onto Truth, but just backing off immediately, hoping to get into vent to get healed up by your Sage of Livy, and that's exactly what's going to happen. But there's a player in mid, and timing might be caught. Liv heard the footsteps. Here's the wall drop, and now has the best luck out in the game, Waxon.
No, they give away the position. They used the cage. They threw a cage on the ground, and Livy heard that and will lose their life. But it doesn't matter. Livy's very low HP. That's going to be another player going into the favor of the attackers. Lurker with the kill onto the Belfast Met Omen. No more dark covers, but Truth doesn't need it. Inside gets one. Mochi with the kill onto the Cypher Lurk in vents. And it's their advantage again for the defenders. Truth will get the third. And it's Zeno in elbow. Can he get the first kill? Can they get the first kill? Yes, they can. Zeno, full utility in hand. Guiding Light, gonna come around the corner, gonna clear, but Mochi still not blinded. Headshot with the Ghost, and the Jet will claim the first round for the Valkyries. On the back of what was a stellar round coming in from the Zen, from I think Liv's Sky.
I know. I think it's Zeno, right? Zeno's Sky.
Xeno's the attacker, Sky.
Oh yeah, right.
Yes. Xeno's
Okay,
playing
yeah,
for the attackers,
yeah.
yes. Oh, it's Truth! Never mind!
Truth, Sky. We were both wrong. It doesn't matter. Truth though did a very good job, like you say, holding behind screens on site and getting all of that value, throwing a flash, getting the first, and then just like full swinging to get the second, and managed to pick up a third in that one round. Livy playing on top of the wall gets to expected weaker weaponry, but not losing your life there is a major bonus.
Wait. What do all casters shout at this point? Collateral kill! As we see a Sage getting a double with a Spectre. Let's get hyped for nothing. Your dad gonna just try to get a headshot and will do so onto the Levy Sage. Slight Sage diff. As, by the way, this is a beautiful classic skin.
Alright, Mr. CS Ripple.
Weapon here.
Well, I'm not.
Was that even English you just said?
It's flattery. What's it? Copying is the best form of flattery. I don't know. Mochi will back up. Wow, that's a nice tactic over there. Actually, I respect that. The Sage just jumping in, picking up the gun, running away, giving a sense of security for the Belfast Met to swing and catch them off and catch the Sage off guard. Meanwhile, Mochi was essentially being in the right position to get the kills while Levy was baiting for her. Absolutely stellar calls to play versus an eco round as it coming in from the attackers. Yeah, very happy with those kills if you're Mochi, getting yourself closer and closer to the Blade Storm. And if Mochi can get a few more here, or you can control on B main, because it's okay, they're not gonna attempt updraft up top, but there's 5 players storming A main, Daniel.
Yeah, but the Paranoia did get committed, so that potentially slowed it something down. Opium getting the first onto Key, and Lurker getting one onto Truth, playing a position that you couldn't quite escape from. Spike will go down, and you're retaking with weaker weaponry here, Waxen. You have 3 players with Spectres, with Sheriffs, and such. You know, there's not much you can do against these long angles with rifles. Unless you're Livy, who just says, hold my beer, gets a kill onto Lurker immediately. But not much again. Just trades back and forth and back and forth. It's coming down to Mochi now in the 1 versus 1. The player is low. Roughly 32 HP, yeah, from your dad. Spectre in hand. This is a great weapon for this range. Your dad with the headshot puts Mochi down, and the round that you're expected to win there, Waxen, you only win with 1 rifle carried over.
I think you are taking that any time of day, because despite being up 5 versus 3 when you took over the site, the Sheriff kills and the pressure coming in from the elbow play from the defenders retaking was very dangerous. And your dad, like you said, was 1 bullet away, or a little spray from the Spectre from losing the round for the attackers. So the Belfast Met, not the happiest with that, but it's much better than what it could have been.
Yeah, I suppose you take your small wins when you get them. You know, you got the round on the board. The Jet jump spotting over this wall. Notes 3 players. Livy's just going to try playing this cheeky off angle. Not getting cleared. Gets the first. Gets another with Mochi helping. All of the players are just falling here, Maxon. There's 1 player left of Xeno. They don't have Spike, and they have their work cut out for them in a 1 versus 4.
If you're Xeno here, and you're still trying to get some guns, and we'll get 1 kill onto Key, but if you are Xeno, you're not happy with what just happened. You are calling, I'm wolfing, I'm gonna use my Trailblazer, and nobody actually comes like that in game. You say, I'm droning, right? I'm sending my wolf in, and they did. Nobody waited, though. They wide swung before the Trailblazer could clear the corners. And obviously they got punished because the Sage could hear the sound cue of the wolf approaching them. So they were like, oh, I'm not going to wait for more of them or for the Trailblazer to clear me. I'm just going to get a few headshots in. And the crossfire was held with perfection by the defenders. Yeah, a bit of a mistake coming in from the Belfast Met. We're starting to see some small oversteps from both sides. Maybe the pressure of this grand finals getting to the players. As I say that, Mochi just getting overconfident, trying to jump spot, and maybe gets punished with a beautiful Sheriff tap.
Yeah, but so that forces out the resurrection there, and making it an even 5 versus 5 once more. And the group is now, the stack is now coming in over toward the B site where the Cypher is. Cage gets popped. and players are just swinging out. But Labyrinth gets a nice reposition as well. Paranoia should stop any potential immediate threats, and it's just a firing squad now, Axon. How or people are just falling, and Truth is already here on the flank. Shots going a little bit awry. Not much that can be happening, but Xeno manages to get one somehow, as everyone was swarming them.
This is exactly what I was afraid of for the Belfast Met. They are running their map pick of split starting on the attack side as you do, and they're doing the correct choice. I'm very proud of them calling the timeout, and it's the right moment. 4-1, it could look slightly one-sided, but it's not that bad. Out of these 4 rounds, one of them was pistols, and they just had an eco, which is ideal. They needed an eco to revamp their economy, and not only that, on the back of Xeno getting the couple of sheriff kills that they did, they now have the Seekers, and it's a full Royal Flush, 5 ultimates available for the Belfast Met. How do you want to stack them up? Who do you want to go first? Are we just gonna pop the Empress and send Lurker in first and then res them and then use the Seekers? Do we want the Omen to maybe try to get an aggressive position early on with the Shadow Steps or from the shadows, and or do we want them to maybe stay alive and replicate one of the plays that we've seen on Haven, drop the spy TP across the map? You need this minute timeout to recompose yourself and realize, okay, this is our moment. We have the advantage when it comes to the utility economy. Let's use it to the best of our ability.
Exactly, and that's definitely what they were talking about there. But also, what that timeout accomplishes for this team, Waxon, is it stops any potential of momentum building, of mental potentially, going more negative. It means that, like you say, they can collect themselves. They can talk through what they're going to be doing in this next round, and how they're going to be playing it out. As it seems like they're doing the same default that they have of 5 players in mid, but instead they're playing it a lot slower. The Mochi did manage to jump spot all 5, and it appears to be that they're just going to go for a flood out through the wall again.
This is not a
they're just going up over!
The flag is already up there. Sky up close and personal. Your dad will use the res, but Sky is swinging in. Can they win the duel? Yes, Truth gets the kill to your dad. And they're gonna get more. Yes, they get the second headshot. It's gonna be Liv, the player that has been res. In a 1 versus 3 gets the second. Can they get anything else? They're isolated in the corner, and he will get a headshot. And Daniel, that was not a default. That was a slow attempt at mid. But they didn't use any of their ultimates. What was that timeout for? Not only they didn't use any of the ultimates, but the Omen and the Sky, which are Key and Truth, managed to go for a double wraparound, 1 through water, 1 all the way to the attacker's base, because that play in mid was so slow and it lacked all of the explosiveness that they got pound punished for it. And I'm gonna say this, Daniel. If Belfast Met chose split, they don't look like they have the tactical backup to prove it. At least not in the first 6 rounds.
And the big issue of that round, Waxon, like you say, there was no map control. They had 5 people in mid, and other than with the pistol round, I believe there was only that was the only round when they had some kind of player just sat over toward A to punish a potential push out. And so it means that these players, yeah, this is their map pick, but they just stack on the attack altogether. They play as a death ball, and if you're playing as a death ball, then you're gonna die as a death ball, as Mochi gets a kill immediately onto Xeno and forced to back up, but Lurker's just pushing. Key, with the support though, manages to get another. Spike should go down uncontested. But there's a TP over toward main. Waxon, from the shadows got used over toward main. Key gets 1 onto Opium, notes another player to backside. Labyrinth, here's the drop of Liv, gets the kill. All sights are now set over toward backside onto your dad, and that will be them falling. And yeah, you got the advantage from the first kill of the round into male. But like I say, you're not holding sight. You're not holding the map even. You're not being able to potentially have knowledge that players are or aren't in places because you're playing as 4 or 5 every round.
Perfect cipher name for Labyrinth, because that's how it feels for the Belfast Met trying to split up this map. You can't get around the corners because you feel like you're lost in a labyrinth. the Sage Wall, the Cypher, even the Omen and the Sky with the utility placement, pitch perfect, and then Mochi backing that up with some great kills. 11 on the board right now for the star jet players of the defenders. Can the Belfast Met change it up? And they will. Not too much, as they'll only change the side of the map that they're attacking.
Yeah, but again, the Cypher reposition's already here. Labyrinth with the setup now, whole bunch of util being exchanged. Players in Trapwires manages to get one from Labyrinth, but that's immediately traded by Lurker. And Spike goes down, but people are just over-peaking. They're just swinging angles, Waxen, getting poor timings on smokes, and it's all down to truth with the operator. 1 versus 4. Not much that can be done here, especially since you have a player over toward ramp that will be hearing all of these steps. Instead, opting to pick up a rifle and potentially try and get something done here.
I think if you're Truth, you're trying to get 1 or 2 kills to do some more damage. You're not going to be able to do so. Lurker will get the final last. Are they going to spot the operator? No, I don't think they had a chance. And it's rare you get to see teams like play an attack side operator, especially if they're not running a jet or a chamber. So yeah, Truth will just repurchase for the defender side. Meanwhile, we are looking at a Bladestorm available for Mochi that will be used in this round. No, okay, maybe not 100% sure, as they do want to still pick up a Vandal instead.
Yeah, and like you said a few rounds ago, Waxen, this is getting into dangerous territories now. You know, you're on the attack, and yes, Split's a defense-sided map historically, but you don't want to be losing so many rounds as to where you're forced to get all of yours on defense. Yes, that's exactly what St. David's did on the reverse, where they got all of theirs on the attack last game, but. It's coming to a point now where this is a map that the side of Belfast pick in their series, and yet it seems to be St. David's are so they seem to look so much more prominent on it than the team that picked it themselves.
This round could dictate a lot of the pace of the remaining 3 rounds after this. Did you not want to invest the ultimate that they have available for the side of Belfast, but they want to stick together? This seems to be the name of the game thus far. Is it going to pay off, or is Mochi going to come in with a field day? Mochi hears the rope, spots one, gets the first kill. Can they transfer to the bottom 1 kill? Spamming through the box, it's a 2 versus 1 spray, and they're not going to come out on top, as Lurker will get the kill, will not have the time to overheal. Now the flash going to come in time, and beautiful headshot from Truth. Opium planting in the open, get the first kill, can they get more? No, they cannot, as Labyrinth is right there with the follow-up. Opium, though, maybe slightly overconfident, planting in the open, hoping that Lurker will hold back the retake in time, but Lurker gets flashed, gets killed, and then Opium almost made us believe.
Yeah, Opium, a player that has had some explosiveness in the last round, go on that Omen Waxen, getting all the value that they had on that Haven, but unfortunately couldn't quite convert that round for the side of Belfast. But there's an op here. Opium's first dead, Waxen. There's no smokes now for the side of Belfast, which means they're gonna have to speed up this B hit. Player noted, flash thrown, it was the Cypher, so they are thinking that this might just be a luck, but with that Leer thrown now, I believe the jig should be up, and the players should be aware of a potential luck through mid, and that's exactly what Livy knows. He's repositioned, managed to get the god timing here. Do they clear? Waxen is going to come down to this clear. 1, 2, not much other than 2, but 2 is still good, putting now Belfast Met in a 4 versus 2 situation. Waxen, they have the numbers disadvantage, and there's the op. Spike down now on the side of the wall, so it can be picked up. But
what just happened? The barrier orb was clearly crumbling in front of their very eyes as they were trying to line up that Sage orb. So, what?
Yeah,
I'm very confused, Daniel. Like, the barrier orb that we finished the round off with was not the defender's one, because that one exploded just a split second before they were placing it. And I don't know, maybe it's some graphic settings, but I'm pretty sure that even if you play with low res and low settings, you should be able to see the cracks coming in through the eyes. That's why Valorant is such a nicely well-made game, that you can tell this type of stuff. Anyway, moving on to round number 9. sorry, 11. Truth's gonna swing in, spots the Cypher. Hasn't had the most impact with the operator thus far on split, despite Haven. But as I say that, they will get the first blood and take Lurker outside of the server for the remainder of the round, unless the res can be invested. Opium already making their way backside. Gets one. Ken did put the pressure onto the others. Guiding Light coming into the cage. Opium with another wallbang headshot in Heaven. Zeno gonna get one on their own. Nice shadow step onto Heaven, and it's gonna be the Cypher. 1 versus 3. This is a very well-needed round for the Belfast Met. They don't need to lose any more guns. They need to save as many of them as possible for the final round of the half. But Labyrinth might have just some different plans for them.
Yeah, but once again, we're seeing a great time positioning. But Labyrinth actually considered it, Waxen. Opium has now fallen. Labyrinth now potentially doable in the 1 versus 2. Time ticking away. Spike will be exploding sooner rather than later, and all that Belfast have to do is play ring around Rosie. No. There's the first. Not much other than that, as Jordan immediately swings and gets the kill.
Res for money? I don't think they got the economy to afford not using res right there. I mean, I don't even think they had the economy to lose two rifles. Okay. Lurker will have to purchase low shields, and so will Liv. Yeah, I think the res was the correct call in that position if you're your dad, but they're opting to save it for the final round. They want to have the balanced equilibrium when it comes to the ultimate department, 3 on both sides. But playing the attack side is not always the easiest job for SH to res. Let's see if they're gonna do just that right now, as we have Lear, Trailblazer, gonna be a fast A-hit, pushing through the cloud smoke. Labyrinth, playing behind the tripwire, lines them up, gets 1, gets 2, nobody checks, gets 3! It's a 4 headshot for Labyrinth! Can they get any more? No, they can't, but it's the end of the half on the back of a beautiful Labyrinth 4K.
That is exactly how you want a half win. Other than the potential for the ace, but they, you're not necessarily all too fussed because you won the round. It's a 9-3 half. You're now on the attack if you're St. David's, and on a map that you didn't even choose, Waxen, you have such a prominent advantage against the defending team now.
Yeah, and this is what the Valorant Women and Esports Cup is all about. Moments like this is what make players great, and Labyrinth, with the right patience, with the right game sense to be positioned in that angle in the very last round of the half. Absolutely incredible Valorant. But now it's up to the to the Belfast Met. Can they do what the Valkyries did on Haven? And the wall is faster, and they do spot your dad in Heaven. Truth, very aggressive with this guy. No more guiding lights, gonna just win the duel. Double headshot for Truth. Livy with the third onto Opium, and now it's a 5 versus 3. Mochi disengages from the vent fight versus Lurker. It's gonna be Zeno and Lurker, Classic and Ghost. Can they pull this clutch off?
Yeah, Zeno just trapped in this spawn position, but the fight's gonna come first from Lurker. Unfortunately falling. Now all down to Zeno. Right clicks on the Classic, having to reload, just spamming that jump, and not much you can do. Getting swarmed there, Waxen. Almost perfect pistol round from St. David's.
Tough. Very tough right now if you are the Belfast Met. The Valkyries already showed their prowess down mid. We saw the Belfast Met struggle a few times to use the barrier orb on top of the Sage one, taking just slightly too many seconds. It wasn't the case. The Valkyries just went there, lined up in a second, and jumped over the barrier orb with their own. Levy just knowing what's up today, and we understand why they wanted to pick the Sage, because they've been doing such a great work thus far. Meanwhile, it's going to be an A takeover. 4 defenders coming down mid. The spike will get planted safely, but let's see. Do the Jet and the Omen, do Mochi and Key want to get maybe too hot on their feet in the defender space? It's gonna be Liv encountering them with a stinger next to the corner. Spots 1, Liv has to reload, and Key gets the kill, but there's 4 on the flank, and it's 4 stingers in hand. The guiding light though gonna come in, and spot 1, not gonna get more than a single kill. Zeno gets taken out. Another guiding light coming in here from the attackers. Sorry, the defenders trying to make up for it, but no, it's a headshot. Lurker with 1, Opium with the second. Key finally trades 1 for the attackers.
But the time wax and the time is ticking. If they manage to win these duels, pick up these weapons, that all that they're going to be having are slight upgrades of Bulldogs and Spectres from those Stingers. Time ticking down. Final player of Labyrinth over towards side, and yeah, you win that. You win the round if for St. David's. But Belfast dealt a load of damage, and there's only one gun carried through. Grant it be a Vandal. And yeah, you can still buy because of the buy that you did in the round prior, but it's going to be quite awkward for the side of Belfast since they forced when they shouldn't have.
What are you doing if you're the Belfast Met? Do you think an eco is good? Do you want to play for overtime? Do you just invest? Do you call a timeout? There's a few possibilities, but not many left in the tank for them. They just need some miracle to take place, and they need it right now. Gonna bring a tripwire instantly. Trailblazer Jet gonna dash in through the Cloudburst in any second now. It's activated, gonna walk through it. Omen with the TP. Opium will get the first kill. Mochi is blinded by our paranoia. Will not invest the dash, but no, your dad with the second kill. Opium, can they get isolated? Swing from up heaven. Lurker with a nice kill. Can they get any more? Mochi is somehow still alive. Throughout all the flying bullets, gets the kill onto Opium. How is this Jet still alive? They're getting healed by the overgrowth.
Yeah, Truth trying to take a fight here. Fortunately, falling to your dad. It's going to come down to Mochi in the 1 versus 3. Trailblazer getting used. Manages to break it in time so doesn't get stunned. 50 seconds left on the round, Waxon. But now all 3 players of Belfast are just swarming into this main. Out comes the second blinding light, but a little bit too premature. Mochi gets 2 now with 3 on the round. It's going to come down to this 1v1 against Jordan, and Mochi will win it, getting 4 kills in the round, bringing St. David's to 12. And now Belfast are facing 9 consecutive match points, Waxon.
It's not just match points, Daniel. It's, like you said, 9 tournament points. The Valorant Women in Esports Cup. The journey for the last few months it's led us all up until this point. Can the Belfast Met halt this momentum from the Valkyries, or are we looking at the beginning of the end?
It's just an immediate roll here into main. Yes, 1 kill comes from the favor of Belfast, but that's not what you want because 2 return in favor of St. David's. Spike should be going down relatively uncontested, and Mochi's got a timing, got 1, got 2, no to last court with a reload. 3 on the round. Can Mochi do it? Will they manage to get 4? Out comes the Paranoia. Liv getting 1, not managing to get another, and that will be 2 consecutive 4Ks for Mochi Waxon, allowing St. David's to win Belfast's map pick 13-3 and winning the Winter Cup.
Stunning performance from the St. David Valkyries, coming in with a comeback on their map pick. It would seem to be almost impossible. They managed to bounce back and get a victory, 13-10, and then they move on to the opponent's map pick of Split and do so in style. And what a performance for the St. David Valkyries, losing to the Belfast Met in week 3, but you know, grinding it all the way down through the lower bracket to make it to this point. Daniel, congratulations to them. I'm speechless. They played some flawless Valorant, and it showed especially in that map number 2 of Split.
Yeah, to win in such a fashion on a map pick that your opponent picks, you know, just looking at their previous records, Belfast won 13-6 on Split against the Alva Apricots and won 13-7 against Hopwood. This is a map that they know that they can play, but it didn't seem to fall their way today.
Well, they might have, but who knows what happened with their momentum after losing that big, huge lead actually on Haven. And then, like I said, when you lose a momentum like that on a map and then you start the attack side of Split, you can't convert the pistols and it all starts tumbling down. And then the tumbleweed gets bigger and bigger, and at one point when you can no longer overcome it, no matter how hard you try. But with that being said, the Belfast Met do get silver for the Winter Cup, so nothing to take away from them. Still the second best tournament of the last 4 months in the women in esports, so they deserve our applause.
They definitely do. Yeah. But yeah, just want to bring on the talk to MVPs, Waxon. from this series, who is your MVP? Because I have 2 or 3 ideas in my head. You know, I just want to get your opinion first.
It's a very hard conversation, I have to admit, because, you know, recency bias is gonna tell me, oh, it's Mochi. Double 4K to win the grand finals. Of course it must be Mochi. But that's not how Valorant is played. That's not how most FPS titles are played. Yes, moments make players, and Mochi definitely showed that they can step up when it matters most. With that being said, can we really take it away from Labyrinth and their consistency, or even Livy with some of the most insane first bloods throughout this entire grand finals? What are your thoughts, Daniel?
Yeah, those are the 3 that I was thinking. You know, you had Mochi, like you say, recency bias, getting 8 kills in the last 2 rounds of that game, but then Labyrinth did such a good job. They kept having the reads on that defense, being able to know where the opponents were going and changing their setups for that. And so, being such a consistent Sentinel player, especially a site anchor Sentinel player, that's something that we see so prolific in like the pro scenes of Valorant. It's definitely something that you want on your team, especially at this tier. So I would probably have to give it to Labyrinth just because of how consistent they are and how much value they get on that Sentinel.
And it depends. Are we talking about MVP for the grand finals? Or are we talking tournament MVP? Because that's a whole different category. In that category, I could probably even nominate Zeno from the Belfast Met for how, again, consistent and impactful they have been time and time again throughout the last, well, multiple months, actually. So it's a big topic conversation. So I think I want to open it up to everybody at home. We're going to choose the MVP for the grand finals, but if you can tell us in the chat who your tournament MVP is, I would be more than happy to find out what your thoughts are on that discussion. So Labyrinth is your choice, and as a former Sentinel player myself, you know what, I'm happy to take Labyrinth for the grand finals MVP right now, despite what was a great team effort from the entire side of the St. David's Valkyries. And obviously we cannot forget to mention Truth and Key with some huge standout moments, including that final round of Haven where they just managed to completely clutch what felt like an unclutchable situation.
Yeah, definitely something that shouldn't have happened, but yet it did. You know, to have such a prolific win, Waxen, from like having such a awful, well, not awful, but like disadvantageous defense on Haven, to then bringing it back on your attack and then stomping your opponent on split. They definitely, like you said, they had that momentum. They had all of the capability and power to just keep that going into split, and it looked like there was a load of errors that shouldn't have been happening from the side of Belfast that they probably will be needing to work and fix up over this winter break to come back for spring.
Well, with that being said, it was the first time probably for a lot of the players in the grand final, so maybe the pressure got to some of them, but it wasn't the case for the St. David's Valkyries, who are now crowned our 2023 Winter Women in Esports Valorant Champions. Daniel, do you have any final words or shout-outs you'd like to make before we go off air for the final time this year?
I just want to thank you for being with me for most of this first half of the year, and then obviously our prod team. You know, having Brad as our producer and Mickey as our observer, even making sure that we don't miss much of the action and keeping up with our insane comms, Waxen. You know, it isn't necessarily an easy job for them.
Absolutely. Well, thank you very much, Daniel, for the kind words, and shout out to you for all of the great work that you've been doing for Valorant over the last couple of months. Huge shout out to Brad in production, like you said, Mickey, Lou, one of our producers for the last couple of sessions as well. But more importantly, shout out to every single player in the Women in Esports tournament, because they've proved time and time again that this was some of the best Valorant we've had over the last few months. Such exciting players and plays and teams to watch, and cannot wait to see what's next for them in 2024. With that being said, St. David's Valkyries are now your 2023 Winter Women in Esports Valorant Champions. That's going to be at the end for us here now, but we will see you soon in the future with more British esports and women in esports action. Stay hydrated.